Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have President Gille returned to the capital after his participation in the second Paris Peace Forum. In Bolivia, Senator proclaims herself acting president. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic returns to the countries after a working visit to France. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, returned to the country early this Thursday evening after a working visit to France where, alongside some 30 other heads of state and government from all continents, he took part in the work of the second Paris Peace Forum. The participation of the President of Djibouti in the second Paris Peace Forum was marked by his intervention in the panel on multilateralism at that meeting. In his speech, the Djibouti head of state reiterated our country's commitment to the values of multilateralism and called for greater representations of a small state in the United Nations system. Of the 193 states in the UN, 105 are small states, said the head of state of Djibouti, who therefore called for the multilateral framework of the UN to address this representativeness and provide a forum for small states. The Minister of National Education Vocational Training, at the head of a large delegation from his department, is currently participating in the 40th General Conference on UNESCO, which has been held in Paris since Tuesday, November 13. He is accompanied by the representative of Mensurs and the permanent delegations of the Republic of Djibouti to UNESCO, composed of His Excellency Ambassador Aid Mus'ad Yahya, Second Chancellor Mohammed Umar Jama, and Cultural Advisor Farhan Ali Umar. On the margins of the summit, he had the opportunity to meet with the Director General of the UNESCO and the Minister of Culture of Singapore. The minister also delivered an important address in which he extended the warm congratulations of the Djibouti delegations on the election of the new president of the General Conference, just as he welcomed the ambitious process of strategic transformation initiated by the Director General when she took office in 2017. He also called for vigilance not to undermine UNESCO's foundations by introducing structural changes that could be counterproductive. Like his African peers, he stressed the need to strengthen programs in favor of the continent, particularly the cross-cutting issue of the priority Africa. The Republic of Djibouti, he said, has given itself the means to translate into actions the fundamental principles of UNESCO that are fully in line with our vision of educational provision. The lecture halls of teacher training centers for basic education today hosted an important ceremony to launch the initial trainings of the 2019-2020 class. The Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Acting Minister of Education, Yunus Ali Geddi, his colleagues in charge of labor, Mr. Ismail Ibrahim Roble, sponsored the ceremony in which many of senior managers, all the student teachers who are beginning their initial training took part in the total some 525 teachers in training were received in the recruitment competitions, which saw more than 2,600 applications. These teacher students who will follow theoretical trainings and practical internships in the field, where they will have to join the schools from the beginning of the next school year. At the end of the official intervention, the head of the Teachers Training Center for Basic Education met with the student teacher to give them an overview of the teacher training map and ethics, as well as the regulations that apply to their studies as civil servants. The Minister of Labor in charge of administration reform, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, who praised the mobility of the teaching profession, a profession that is exciting, demanding, and rewarding, and that makes it possible to participate in the constructions of society by transmitting knowledge, know-how, and interpersonal skills, and by valuing students' skills. The acting ministers of Menfop, Yunus Ali Gedi, emphasized the professionalization of this initial training, which is based on skills development. He also called for a sense of responsibility on the part of everyone, because he said the success of the students depends on the work and effort of the teachers you will be. ONAS has today hosted a high-level meeting led by the Minister of Interior, Momin Ahmed Sheikh. The meeting was attended by a Somali delegation led by the Somali representative in Djibouti, Mr. Abdi Fattah Said Ahmed, accompanied by Abdul Karim Mohammed Ahmed, Director of the Office for Refugee and Disaster Victims, as well as the Executive Secretary of the ONAS, Mr. Hussein Hassan Darar, and his staff. The purpose of this meeting was to plan together the voluntary repatriation plan for refugees from Somalia that the Republic has welcomed into the corps since the outbreak of the war between Somalia and Somaliland. As we know, Djibouti is recognized for its generosity and warm welcome for the weak, hopefully wars in neighboring countries by offering protection and assistance to all refugees who are on Djiboutian soil through ONAS, which is a humanitarian arm of the state. Once peace has been restored in their countries, some refugees decide to return home and thank Djibouti for the care and protection provided. As a result, a significant number of Somali refugees have opted for voluntary repatriation to their countries. This was the purpose of this morning meeting between Djibouti's Interior Minister, Momin Ahmed Sheikh, and the Somali delegation. In an interview granted after the meeting, the Executive Secretary of ONAS, Hussein Hassan Darar, indicated that the Republic of Djibouti does not only welcome refugees on its territory, but that we will accompany them to their installations in their countries of origin in order to better integrate into their own societies, offer them some financial and moral support to have life as a good or even better than the one they had in Djibouti. The Minister of Commerce, Hassan Hamad Arbahim, today received in his office Major General Hamdi Mohammed Badin, chairman of the Board of Directors of the Egyptian National Fishery Corporation. The Egyptian delegation was composed in addition to Major General Hamdi from his Mohammed Mustafa, ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Djibouti, from the Captain Islam Nuruddin Nashi, head of the legal affairs of the National Fishery Society, Miss Yara, consulars of the Egyptian Embassy to Djibouti, Kostka Mohammed Umar, advisors to the Minister of Commerce, participate in the meeting. The minister welcomed the Egyptian delegation and wished them a good stay in their second country, Djibouti. On the occasion of the World Diabetes Day on November 14 of each year, the National Social Security Fund organized a diabetes detection and awareness campaign that will last almost a week from November 14 to 21 in 2019. In addition to its medical structure, CNSS teams visit one of the local banks on this first day to detect and raise awareness among CNSS affiliate workers about the silent disease that eats away nearly 425 million people around the world. This action is part of the CNSS prevention policy. For these people's medical teams from the CNSS, certain companies and institutions are checking and sensitizing workers on site. In addition to screening session, awareness raising is an important part of this week's programs. On the menu of awareness sessions are advice and documentations on the clinic science diabetes that also personalized advice and authenticity. In an interview with the CNSS Chief Medical Officer Dr. Gamil Saeed Ibrahim, the preventionist campaign aims to reduce together the risks of this disease, which is one of the main causes of blindness, amputations, heart disease, kidney failures, and premature death. The work of the 32 ordinary sessions of the Council of Arab Ministers and Transport, preceded by our meetings of experts, was held from 12 to 14 November in Alexandria, Egypt, and the chairmanship of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, represented by its ministers of transport. During these sessions, our country was represented by Mohammed Duhur Hirsi, Djibouti's ambassador to Egypt, and his permanent representative to the League of the Arab States. Department reviewed with a very important agenda, the main topic of which were support for Palestinian economy and the implementation of the transport development strategy in Al-Quds 2018-2022. The revisions of the status of Arab conventions in the file of transport was in the light of the report of the Secretary General of the Arab League in order to adapt to international conventions and the importance of setting up mechanisms for revising these conventions to achieve the desired level of Arab cooperation. On 11 November 2019, the first meeting of the Joint Coordination Committee between the Djibouti Coast Guard and the Japan International Coordination Agency, JICA, was held in the meeting room of the Directorate of the Djibouti Coast Guard Administration. This meeting was held as part of the Coast Guard Operational Capacity Building Project, which is entering its third phase. This project is intended to provide our institution with support in terms of expertise, equipment, and training in order to effectively support the ongoing development of our institution. The parties concerned discussed discussions the various aspects of cooperation and collaboration that will be put in place during the execution of the project, which will last for a period of 5 years until October 2024. The Minister of Labor in charge of administration reform has launched control operations in the southern region of the countries. This action is consolidated in Dakhil. The intervention is already initiated in the region last July. This control, which involves labor market institutions such as EJTLS, CNSS, and ANFI, began this morning with the city of Dakhil, will extend to Galafi. This joint control operation orchestrated by the Labor Market Regulatory Institution under the supervision of the Ministry of Labor consists in raising awareness among employers and social partners to improve compliance with the taxes and regulation in force. During this audit, several companies specialized in road construction and construction operating in the city of Dakhil unit were inspected by the inspectors. This monitoring will continue until tomorrow in the most remote area of Dakhil region. The city of Asajog is preparing to host the official launch of the first selection of the regional fair tomorrow, Friday, November 15th, on the esplanade in front of the prefecture's premises. This fair will bring together all young Asajogs in the entrepreneurship sector. Exhibitions of handicraft, furniture, multiple gift and making, soap making. The main objective of this regional fair is to expose the local population, especially young job seekers, to the many jobs creation incentives offered by young people working in the field of entrepreneurship. The Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations has organized an official ceremony for distributions of goods in the Tujura regions, particularly in Sagalu. In addition to the FAO representative in Djibouti and to IGAD, Ms. Pisong Chang Dedemanao, the ceremony saw the participation of the United Nations System Coordinator in Djibouti, Barbara Monzi, and the Deputy Commissioner, the representative of the Tajura Regional Councils and the village's customary authorities initiate as part of the emergency project. These activities concern the repopulations of livestock. In fact, a total of 2,000 local goats with 10 heads female and one male goat will be distributed in the Tajura region to support the nomad population. Livestock feed was made available to selected beneficiaries according to well-defined criteria established by FAO in collaboration with the prefectures and the regional council. On the morning of Tuesday, November 12, 2019, a strong delegation is led by the Secretary General of the Secretary of State for Decentralization, Mohamed Issa Faraj, the Director of Studies of the Prospections of the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Muna Ahmed Rage, composed of senior officials from the Ministry of Social Affairs, Decentralization of ADDS, ENSD, and UNFD, attend the meetings of the PNSF Regional Committee in Oboha. For his part, the Secretary of State for Decentralization, Mohamed Issa Faraj, said that the discussions also focus on the next step for the extensions of the PNSF in the localities of this region, the preparation of the conduct of beneficiary targeted missions that will take place in the region from 12 to 27 November 2019. Nice victory for the U15 Sharks against the Mayotte as a part of the Indian Ocean tournament. The U15 Star national team beat the Mayotte national team yesterday afternoon by a score of 5-2. The U15 national team players were siblings on both the offensive defensive sides during these games and dominate their opponents. The Red Sea Sharks showed a very good performance during these games of the group phase, and this will allow better preparations for the second game against the island team scheduled from Friday, November 15. President Suleiman Hassan Waberi sent a message of congratulations to the player and technical staff for their great victory and to continue their hard work. For the international scene, Israeli forces and Palestinian parties agreed on a ceasefire. Dini Musa for more details.
Israeli forces and Palestinian parties agreeing on a ceasefire. It reportedly came into effect at dawn, according to Egyptian mediation and a senior official of the Palestinian armed group Islamic Jihad. But until late at night, rockets were fired and the IDF carried out bombings. According to Tel Aviv, 360 rockets had been fired since Tuesday, and 90% of them has been intercepted by the anti-missile shield. No deaths had been recorded on the Israeli side, but 63 people were injured. On the other hand, Israeli army bombings killed 32 Palestinians, activists, and also civilians. A few hours before this ceasefire, a whole family, 2 women, 3 children, and a man were killed by an Israeli strike that Tahal described as surgical. Tahal, which accuses the armed Islamic Jihad group of using human shields to protect itself. These 2 days of clashes has been the deadliest since May 14, 2018 in Gaza, the day of the unveiling of the American embassy in Jerusalem.
Senator Janine Áñez proclaimed herself as acting president of Bolivia in front of a parliament that had been deserted by the elected representative of Evo Morales' party. Dini Musa for more details.
Senator Jane Áñez proclaimed herself interim president of Bolivia in front of a parliament that had been deserted by the elected representative of Evo Morales' party. She invoked the succession order after the defection of the Bolivian vice president, the president of the Senate, and the president of the Chamber of Deputies. The right-wing senator, a long-standing opponent of the resigning head of state, immediately promised elections before 22 January, howling her supporters from the balcony of the presidential residence with the Bible in hand. This strong supporter of traditionalist conservationism welcomed this transformation.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.